show. All right. Next question is coming from Jeff Ford.
Is Doug ever in your jam sessions?
To be fair, probably not, because usually when we're writing the music, it's just us. I have done several remixes of Nitzer Ebb tracks, which we have never got around to using yet, just because I wanted to see if it worked. It's really the three of us musically. Doug is always the vocal guy. He has his things when we come to doing songs together, and obviously what we did in 2019 was a big part of what Douglas wanted to hear too. But musically, no, he tends to steer away. We've done things together, different times that we've never put out, but it tends to be the three, let's say, musical sides of it that get together and jam.
Cool.
You guys seem to have a very similar style. Like that was more something you did on your own with Simon, right? That you just performed for us?
Originally, the music would have just been several parts of several things. I mean, when I write a lot, and a lot of different things at different times for different purposes. Again, when Bond turns up, he'll say, "Oh, I'm not sure about that part," or Simon will say, "Oh, I like that part," and then we break it down. It's always write too much, because less is more, and the more you write, the easier it is to strip it back down again.
Yeah, David usually writes one track and it ends up being four separate ones because there's like four really good bits in it. So it's
nice.
Well, let's take the end of that and make it the start of a new one. Then the new one becomes a thing of its own, and then we've got three others. So that's why David writes so many songs, because they're all like really, really good. You can hear the ideas changing as he goes along because he's having different tracks. So, but when I come in and hear it, I think, well, that bit's brilliant. Like, why do we need anything else? So that's a track, and then make this bit, and that's another track. So we end up with four more than we started with about 2 hours before.
And then we get Mr. Harris turn up and knows how to get things in tune and key, and it turns into something completely different.
Yeah, it kind of turns into music if he's around.
Yeah, if that's possible, yeah. Actually make music out of it.
You don't really want that, not on a Saturday. No, it's good. We've learned so much from Bond.
I've got a question from Foodhead.
Yay!
No. Where is he? He's gone again. Oh, there he is.
Oh, nearly. You see him but can't hear him. Put your original audio on at the top. Turn off original sound.
I can't do anything.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, he's in. You
hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. I had a question for Dave, actually. Do you remember the last gig you did originally in the 80s, not the comeback thing? The last gig was that?
The last show I did with the band? God. I can remember we played UCLA, I think. A university in London. We played a show at University in London. I remember it because I think Vince Clarke was there.
You played a what?
I think it was a university show in London.
Oh, show.
Yeah. I think it was a university in London. Be fair, really can't remember. It's a long time ago. I can remember stuff in Europe, some of the tours we did. But the actual last show I did, I think, was either UCLA or the ELA in London.
Cool. Great, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
So David and Simon, do you guys remember the first time you ever heard Nitzer Ebb on the radio, and what radio station or what it was on?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, that was on the John Peel show.
Gotta be John Peel.
Yeah. And it's a couple of things. It's quite funny.
Hang on, interject for a second, Simon. You got to tell the story of the bloody phone box.
Yeah, exactly. Me and Douglas were around mine one night. Well, prior to that, we dropped off a load of cassettes at BBC radio headquarters in London, basic playing procedure and all this stuff. And we actually waited for John Peel to come outside. and we kind of ambushed him and gave him all this stuff. And a few weeks later, me and Doug were around my apartment having a drink. And this is before you could have a telephone anywhere. So there's a telephone box just over the road where I live. John Peel, for some reason, gave us his phone number to the studio. So we had John Peel's live telephone in his studio. So me and Douglas went over to the phone box and phoned him up and told him to play Soul Power by James Brown. And he goes, why do you want to play that? I said, because it's just a brilliant track. Just play Soul Power. And then he played Soul Power by James Brown. And he goes, I've just been nagged by Nitzer Ebb to play James Brown, and this is the track that we hear. And he played Soul Power. And then he said, and this is Nitzer Ebb from, I think it was Isn't It Funny How Your Body Works he played, wasn't it?
I think so. I honestly can't remember it. He played something off Isn't It Funny How Your Body Works.
First EP. So he played a couple of tracks off of that. Yeah. So yeah, John Peel definitely, and that was probably 84, I think.
Oh, very cool. Thank you. I'll drink to that. Show.
Yeah.
Show all day long.
Show, baby.
Bon on your cup of tea.
Okay, I'd like to actually ask a question. There's probably a huge difference between when you're doing stuff with your stock music compared to when you were touring with Nitzer Ebb 2018, 2019. The contrast between doing something a lot more free-flowing and you can kind of play around with it compared to having a pretty strict outline of when things come in and when things have to be done. Do you guys have a preference between something that's really like you have to be on time with this and that compared to we can just make sounds the way we like and be organic?
Kind of. It's a bit of a strange one because one of the original concepts of us guys coming back and playing with them and doing Nitzer Ebb again was that we would have a little bit of that free-flowing organic feeling and change the songs up and make it into something different. And it kind of works, and then you kind of work out it's got to be structured, it's got to be right. So it's a balance, it's a very fine line. So the idea of not stopping the shows for 2019 shows, 2018, 2019 shows, the idea of it kind of being a DJ concept where it doesn't stop. One was people are not going to be sure what we're going to do. You kind of bring a song in a remix fashion, and you build up the anticipation. And then when the song drops, you know, people love it. They're there and they get it. Oh, great, it's that one. It is the same but very different. I think we talked personally here, Tozer, about it before. With Douglas and I kind of have this almost face gesture thing where he'll look at me and like, I need a breather. And with Nitzer Ebb, I have all the music on a board in front of me so I can control every part of it. And even with Bon, we'll do the same. He'll look over and go, it's time to, you know, well, let's do this or do that. And then that's how we work it. It's still pretty organic, which is what's made it really good fun to do. That it's not rigid, it's not set. You don't have to stop and start.
Yeah, whereas Stark is kind of, like you say, Stark is almost the opposite. We start off with probably a beat or a sound or just a bass line, and then we'll just mess around over the top of it with no actual thought as to what it might be. And then sometimes those things evolve into a track, and then we'll spend some, and when we've got a few examples like that, we'll practice them, but in a kind of a loose way. So 1 week we'll do, I don't know, an hour or something messing around with it. And then sometimes we look at each other and say, no, it's just not working this week. We'll just delete the whole thing, just literally delete it and then do something else.
I have a real habit of when I don't like something, it goes, the whole thing has to go. If it doesn't work, then just dump it.
The whole thing, just start all over.
Dump the song and start again. Keep the idea, keep the feeling, because the feeling will always be the same, and then just recreate it, start again.
Because I mean, I'm sure everyone's experienced it. Where if you hone a track over and over again, you start to hate it. You know, you start to know where the samples are. You know what hi-hat's doing. And the sounds that you loved at the start, you start to find them annoying.
Yeah,
because you've heard it like 50 times, and then you end up not liking it, and you think, I don't really like this one. But we've got some tracks that we've done, and I think some of the tracks that Dave's written I can literally listen to all day, because they're so good. And they're the ones you want. They're the ones you want to go on for 20 minutes because you're excited by them each time you hear them, as opposed to like, oh God, it's this one. You know what I mean? So when we get an, oh God, it's this one, we're just like, nah, just delete it. And like Dave says, we'll carry the feeling over to something else.
You know, Simon, when you were speaking earlier about how David played you a track and you couldn't believe that it was him. It was so good and you couldn't believe it. Is that a track that exists now
It
that
does, yeah.
we could actually...
Oh, probably somewhere on my hard drive, but then that'll be among
Yeah.
the other 22,000 songs that are on there. You know, it's,
Yeah, it's
we don't title things. We're not very good at titling things. We're not very good at, or I'm not. I'm absolutely useless with computers and putting things in the right order. So I write what I like. If it's something that really shines out, it will get a title and then it stays. Many people, I did a show the other week and the guy's like, what's this song's called? I don't know. It's a set. I wrote a set of songs, you know. None of them are titled yet. If we record them, we'll title them. You know, it's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does exist. David wrote about 5 or 6 tracks with different flavors. So one was more tech house and one was more slow and kind of almost orchestral. And this was in very early days of sort of Stark, if you like, like I say, before I got involved. And then we went the next step, if you like, which was kind of evolving stuff between ourselves. But yeah, these tracks are around. I mean, we'll try and dig them out for you if you like.
Nice, would love that. Rob,
There is a little EP on Bandcamp though, right? The Dark Light.
There's stuff all over the place. We're pretty well. I'm pretty crap. I can't blame Simon. I'm pretty crap at worrying about where stuff goes because I just like doing. I like making music. You know, I had after leaving Nitzer Ebb, I didn't listen to music for probably 10 years. I didn't really get involved in it. I always had an issue with the industry as in general. It wants to squash what you do. It wants to stop you being who you are. It wants to control you, and it caused me problems personally. So when I finally came back to making music, I was kind of determined that I would do what I want to do in the way I want to do it. So if I don't record it or keep it, I'm not really bothered. It's something you do at the time. I mean, I've gone back with you guys. I've gone back and looked and found videos and gone, Christ, did we do that? That's actually quite good. You know, I quite like that. It's a bit of a strange situation, but I just don't take it too seriously, if that makes any sense.
yeah.
So David's got like 13,000 files called Untitled.
Untitled 1, 2, 3, 4.
Pretty much. I think Simon's girlfriend Nadia, she said to me, "Are you the Prince of Techno?" Which is probably right. I have probably 20,000 songs. I don't know. You know, a new computer, new songs. I like to do what I'm doing here and now in the moment. It's all about now, what you're doing now. If it gets recorded, then great. You know, if it doesn't, well, it doesn't. Then it wasn't worthy.
For the record, I'm also harassing David to release those tracks. Like every time I hear his live, I'm like, okay, you have to put this out. Just like I did with Bonnie, and I told him you have to put a song for the Lemon Tree, from the Lemon Tree. So I'm also harassing David to release those tracks. I'm working on it.
Thank you, Nadia.
We have got one of the tracks. I don't know if you're doing it tonight, Dave. The one with the strings, you know.
No.
No, okay.
I'm only playing you things you don't know.
Okay, yeah, I know. There's a track called we called it A Tale of Two Cities, and that will come out on vinyl.
Yeah, next year we have a project for next year. We're hoping to do an AA side vinyl, 8-track CD and some merch. We've had an idea, a beautiful T-shirt Simon designed at one point. We've just never got around to sorting it. It's always a financial issue and just time. The last two, let's say 2018 to now, it's been really Nitzer Ebb based. We put our label on hold. We put pretty much everything on hold because you can only concentrate on one thing at a time.
You guys, I'm going to put the links for all the stuff Stark related inside of the chat right now, and then I'll also post them inside of the Depeche Mode Global fan group so you can access them there as well.
No, thank you, Tools.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sweetest perfection.
Oh dear. We were doing so fine up until now, Larry. We're doing so good. Rob, did you want to play
I
a
can't
clip?
help myself.
I know, it's all right.
So yeah, we're gonna play. I'm just gonna play a short snippet of this because Facebook Live is very bad about if you're using any kind of copyrighted music that it might shut down the live stream. So I'm just gonna do a little snippet of
Go for it.
of this video right here. So
Okay. See how far we get.
just to show the performance from last tour. Just as it gets good, I'm gonna stop it. But
What instrument?
I'm
was
gonna
that
share
that
that
you
link
played?
in the chat, and we can put it on Facebook Live too, so that you can watch the full performance. But I just don't want Facebook Live to get shut down, so that's why we're not showing the whole song. Because
What instrument was being played? The one that goes dun.
That was Bond playing live percussion.
Are you there? Are you there, Nobby? You can add to that one. Unmute yourself.
It was I used an iPad for all my drum sounds on that tour, and that was a plugin from a developer called Bram Boss, and it's called Ruiz Noir, and it's like an FM drum plugin, and I had a variety of those spread across a Roland Octopad. So yeah, that was what that was.
Dude, that is a sick sound.
That plugin's brilliant. You know, it gets really kind of dirty, grainy, messed up, metallic drum sounds. It's really cool. Yeah, I use it a lot.
This is why I like alternative and electronic music, because you never know what cool sound effects you're gonna get out of them.
That's the point. That's the point of electronic music. It's like there's no rules. When we started, there was massive rules. So guitar-based bands, electronic music's fake. It's fake. It's all wrong. You're not allowed to do this, you know. And yeah, you are, because technology is the way forward. Now everybody uses that technology. It's the way it works.
I've got a question from Yuri that I will ask. Oh, it's not Yuri? The question is, do you like the sweat on stage?
Do I like the sweat on stage?
It's exactly what they said in the film.
Do I like the sweat on stage? I don't know. No, because I wear glasses now, and it's really bloody awkward because they steam up, and then I can't see the board or anything I'm trying to do. But you do end up sweating on stage, yeah. The lights kind of do that to you, the general heat of the environment will make you sweat.
The thing is, it was just a joke. It was meant to be a joke because a lot of fans of Depeche know what that question is about. And I saw Mike laughing in Seattle. And he knows what I'm talking about.
Nadia knows as well, that 101 reference.
I think it's a time, so yeah. Sweat on stage.
So back in that clip that I was showing, I don't know if you guys caught it, but you see Doug back there. Looks like he's trying to distract Simon.
He was giving him a back massage.
Yeah, and he's dancing. And does he try to distract you to throw you off on purpose at all, or is it just for fun?
I wouldn't call it throwing you off, but he has this real habit of coming around and doing things and grabbing us, and
yeah.
Because that's our humor, that's our friendship. It's kind of part of the show. It's at the same time that he's come across really well. That a lot of people notice how much fun we're having when we're doing it. So, because it is fun, it's meant to be fun. If we have fun, then you guys listening in the show are going to have fun too.
The what?
Show.
That's perfect.
Show.
I think
so when shows do come back, I think you guys had tour plans for like South America or something.
We had there's plans for a lot of places because obviously it was treading water with what we were doing, and it went really well, and everybody seemed to really enjoy it, and we really enjoyed it. And people were asking us to play all over. You know, the world's kind of your oyster. So, yeah, I mean, 2020's killed that. You know, we're 2021 now, aren't we? But 2020 kind of killed that. We'll see. As long as our old bodies will hold up, we'll be back.
When you do go back, I think you need to start with warm-up shows in LA because that's like a really good spot, especially that Bon and Doug are here, right? So it makes perfect sense.
I got to say it, Rob. Really strange. We played LA was like a home show for Bon and Douglas, and it was very emotional. It's a very strange thing. They've lived there a long time, so and when we played Electroworks in London, that was a really cool show. When we did Village Underground at the end of the tour, that was amazing. That was like, for me and Simon, we were home, and to play to your home crowd is, you can't better it. It's the best thing you're ever going to do.
I was there.
The LA one, that last LA one was fantastic. That was the last one, wasn't it, David?
Yeah, in States, yeah.
That leg. And, I mean, for all of us involved and everybody and all our technicians and our amazing support, Surachai, and it was fantastic. It was such a good atmosphere.
Bloody glad it was over, though.
It was bliss staying at Bond's for a couple of days afterwards. He's got such a lovely place to live, and we were just so relaxed for a few days because it's the first time in a long time. I mean, we played 60 shows in 2018 to 2019. We played 60.
Yeah, it was a great time. It's a strange thing. LA was an amazing show, as I said, and Village Underground in London was an amazing show. It's like two home things, but I think for Douglas and Bon, probably harder with London because it's like that's like a double home. When you base yourself somewhere, you end up with two homes. So kind of where it goes.
So when you do visit LA, what do you find most interesting or appealing besides visiting Bon's house?
Bob's house mainly.
I just want to go skateboarding. I need to go skateboarding in LA again. I've been skateboarding in LA for years, and I need to go back and not be doing music or anything and just go and find a skate park and ride for a few days.
Vans has a skate park about 5 minutes from my house, which I wish they had it when I was younger. They didn't have it when I was younger, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a beautiful skate park, and guys like Tony Hawk and whatever they go skate there. It's a great park.
That's cool.
I've got a question from Matt Smith.
Yeah.
Matt
when you're
Smith.
in London, what's your favourite venue? Because obviously London's got a lot of sort of cosy, intimate places.
So what are we talking? Are we talking Nitzer Ebb? Are we talking Start? What are we talking? What do you mean in that context?
Nitzer Ebb.
Okay, so yeah, definitely. I think Electroworks. We played Electroworks that year, and it's very small, very intimate. and know the guys very well. So that was very personal. But Village Underground sound system was amazing. Everybody there was amazing. Everybody was up for it. So yeah, I'll go with Village Underground.
Thanks.
Yeah, New York represent.
Patty.
Are you still in Florida, Patty?
Yes, we are. We're still in Tampa right now.
Did you go to Universal? Did you go to Disney? Did you go to Disney World yet?
I've got a question from Andy Pinkney.
Pinkney, yeah, go for it, Andy.
Hi, Andy.
How you doing, Dave? It's Andy. Do you remember we met the other day in Hotbox?
Yes, we did.
Local lads. And the transition, I think a couple of you guys were there. So question is, are you wanting to play something of reasonable size in Chelmsford, maybe 2,000 capacity?
We had this thought. There's like one venue in Chelmsford that would be big enough to do Nitzer Ebb. We did kind of question the guys. It's a bit of a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
To find a venue that we could all play in that makes sense, is big enough for everybody to come to, and I'm pretty sure people are going to want to travel to come to the hometown show. Yeah, it's there. It's sitting there like a lot of things do. They sit on the fence, and we try to make them work.
Yeah, we both know who that venue is. We both had a chat about that, and we thought it wasn't the best place, right? So I think I spoke to you about the new venue that's going to open up soon next year. 2,000 capacity, very industrial unit, very local. So if you want to have a chat about that.
Well, we'll see, my friend. We'll see.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, David, can we get a second performance now? Maybe get
We
that queued up.
can. You're gonna have to chat and do stuff while I turn things over. But yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that, Simon. Why don't we chat with you a little more about design stuff while we're going to
far away if you've got any questions.
So, if anyone else wants to ask any, feel free. But I'll go ahead and start right now. So, we had mentioned this on the last Drink and Chat that you're on with us with Bond, but just to kind of people that may not have been there or whatever, just for posterity, because we are recording this. Why don't you go ahead and talk about some of your favorite artwork that you've done for Nitzer Ebb?
Okay. I think my overall favorite would be Belief, purely because with any Nitzer Ebb artwork, I'm in a really good position where I can do exactly what I want. And I'd say 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10 even, the band really like it and everyone involved really likes it. So we never have to really change anything. I've never reworked anything, I don't think. I think there's been a couple of questions from Mute about production costs, but that was about it. So I'd say Belief, because Belief is very simple. And that was, again, I alluded to it last time. We're using a thing called spot varnish technique, which is a nice technique where you've got a matte board cover with a gloss sort of writing on it, or gloss square. And then we had the wraparound strip with Max Ernst on it, who's an artist I've always really liked. So yeah, I'd say Belief. Belief is my favorite. And then the things that spun off of Belief as well, like Hearts and Minds and Control and Shame and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's definitely my favorite one.
Do you happen to keep in your archive things all that you've done, all these different covers? And
I've got a few. I mean, I think you've probably talked to Foodhead on that. He's probably got more than most people. I mean, I've got a few things. At home that I've got, like I say, the original Cogs and Stars and things, and I've got a few. I've actually got a couple of unreleased versions of Total Age that we never did, and I'll maybe put them on my Instagram at some point. It's nothing like the original Total Age cover. It's like a more of a industrial style montage type thing. More of a Dadaist. It's all cut together. So yeah, I'll maybe release a couple of things or put them online. It might be quite interesting to do.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Have you ever revisited doing artwork that old way?
Sorry, Atuza, could you say that again?
Have you ever revisited doing the artwork the old way that you were talking about?
No, it's a good idea. But one of the one of the rules I work by when I create any artwork is I like to create it with no effects that the computer does. So, for example, for the recent Nitzer Ebb tour, we recreated the face for Belief, and we created the T-shirt symbol with the cog, star, and hammer merged together. All those items were recreated with the same principle as drawing them on paper. So the actual process, if you like, I keep it really, really basic on the computer. So ideally, you wouldn't be able to tell whether it had been produced by someone drawing it manually or whether someone had produced it on a computer. Because I really hate the things that computers do, which is preset effects, because they just look awful and they're dated all the time. So I like the design to look timeless. So someone couldn't really say when it was done. And if I can do that, I'm kind of happy.
I have one last design question before we go to David, as it looks like he's ready. But what is going to be the next color so I can get my wardrobe ready?
Oh, well, funny you should say that. I am working on some designs for Bon for the Lemon Tree designs. And that's probably going to be monochrome, but with yellow. So yellow, black, and grey.
Very nice.
So bear that in mind, yellow. And that's the Pantone colour of the year as well, is a yellow with grey this year.
Yep.
There's two Pantone colours of the year. So, yeah, that might be something to think about.
And I see Nadia brought reinforcements.
Yeah.
Hey, can't wait for you to show us.
Show us.
Show us.
Show us.
Once again, just to clarify, there's no alcohol in this cup. It's just Sprite.
Hey, just so you know, Larry, I don't think there are any law enforcement officials on here right now anyway, so it's okay.
I know, but I just want to clarify that I'm not crazy to drink during this entire thing, even when I'm 16.
Okay.
All right, Larry,
we are crazy to drink while we are actually hosting this, but we're having fun, so this is a good time.
Has anyone ever noticed that Bon and Simon kind of look similar?
No, nobody ever did.
I don't know if it's just me.
No, there's a funny story there.
The haircut, of course.
With the new shows, David goes on first, then I come on, then Bon comes on, then Doug comes on. So when David comes on, he gets like a cheer and everything, because he's starting all the sounds and starting the show off, the show. And then when I walk on, I think first of all, all these people start cheering. I think they think it's Bon. Then I walk to a different spot. I go over right over to the far right, not in the middle bit. And then when Bon comes out, there's a massive cheer off C, and then Douglas, because they recognise him. But because for us two, people don't recognise it. But yeah, you're right, Larry. Yeah, we have been accused of looking similar.
One of my favorite stories last week, or not last week, a couple of weeks when we had Bon, when he mentioned he was going to 7-Eleven and someone came up to him and said that, "Oh, you're my favorite, my musical idol," and he thought he was Moby.
Yeah. Like I said before in the last session, I got accused of being Moby at the Roundhouse in Camden when Moby was actually playing at the time. So.
Oh, that's funny.
Simon, do you mean that you're kind of like the Fledge guy from Nitzer Ebb?
The what? Sorry.
Fledge.
The Fledge guy, you know, like.
Oh man, don't put him down like that. Come on now.
No.
Yeah, my synthesizers don't work.
Just joking. Sorry.
And just kidding, Fletch. If you watch this ever, we're just kidding.
Yeah, we love you, Fletch.
Yeah,
No, he's actually playing live.
Do you clap a lot?
No.
Do you like bananas?
You like bananas?
Oh, and we see you have the yellow shirt already, so you're ahead of the times over there.
Yes.
You're already ahead of us.
All right, I think we're going to move on to David now, right?
Yeah, give a thumbs up if you're ready, David.
Yep,
right.
Let's go.
On with the show.
Yeah. Brilliant.
That was awesome.
Very cool.
I was slow to unmute myself. That was awesome. I was clapping and it was muted. I tried to push it and it didn't unmute me. So excellent.
Guys, should be back now. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we could hear you.
Right,
Yeah, that was great.
You're welcome.
You're putting on quite the show.
Well, do my best. I do my best.
Is that song in particular inside of those links that I shared?
No, none of these songs are anywhere. They're kind of just sitting in limbo. It's a whole thing I've written this year. To process, if something we want to do is start next year, where me and Simon can get together and hone them down to where they should be. At the minute, I'm kind of ad-libbing on my own, which is really difficult because I love his input and it makes sense when he's there. But at the moment, it's kind of just what goes. It's a difficult one. And I'm back there. There's my face again. Yeah, it's difficult because we've not been able to get together. It's really hard to kind of, I'm just writing on my own and it doesn't really work that well to write on your own. You kind of need somebody there to slow me down, I think is the word.
It sounded really good.
Well, you've not heard it before, so, you know, something new is always good, eh?
We actually, this Tuesday, you'll quite like this, and Rob and everybody probably. Me and David played a live show. I've forgotten where it was. It was some club somewhere. We were starting to play, and he said, "Yeah, you don't know these songs yet."
Yeah, I do that to him. I will turn up at a show and I've written something new that morning, and it's like, well, you're going to have to deal with this. You know, it's like
this wasn't
show. Cheers.
This wasn't even the morning. This was actually the gig itself.
Yeah, I think it was the gig itself. I remember rightly. Yeah.
We've got a question from our Mike in Seattle.
Yo.
Go for it, Mike.
Question for you, David. Literally what you were just playing. Could you give us a little kind of 10-cent tour, or how do you say in England, 10 pence tour?
What the equipment I'm using?
Exactly what I was going to ask.
Not just the equipment, but like I can tell that there's a drum machine there, but you know the knob turning with the blue and the red and.
Okay, so it kind of gets. I'm a big fan of Pioneer stuff, but not as a DJ. I don't DJ, so it kind of that steers away profusely. But I've gone through several Roland samplers and different things I've been trying to do. I don't want to use computers anymore. I really want to do a live hardware show. So you get a much clearer sound. It's much more powerful. And so the little silver box at the bottom of the camera. Do you want me to switch cameras where this makes sense?
Yeah,
Let me switch cameras and I put my finger on it. So here we go. So the little silver box here. Can you see this? Can you see my finger? The silver box. That was a present from Simon. It's a Pioneer DJ Effects. You can control it, do what you want with it. Reprogram it, change the parameters, do as you please. The other one on the other side, same thing, but it's their original version. And it has an amazing filters. So you can kind of control what you're doing really, really spontaneously. The whole thing with doing stock shows is about spontaneity. And I tend to like to bounce off a crowd. I kind of do that with the Nitzer Ebb shows. Excuse my bell.
Someone's at the door.
Yeah, God knows. Let's hope it's nothing naughty. But it's kind of where it goes. So
it's
Boris is knocking. Boris Johnson.
But yeah, it's all different stuff for different reasons, different times.
So David, are you like playing audio stems through those DJ rigs right there then?
Yeah, there's different samples of things we've done at different times.
Is there like a sequencer that's synced up with that too, or is it?
It's the Pioneer sampler sequences everything together. It kind of runs the MIDI, runs everything, and that's the way we do it. You know, I don't want to use a computer at the moment. I've really got done with using computers. I think a lot of doing the Nitzer Ebb shows because we have to use a computer with Nitzer Ebb to get all the sounds in place. You couldn't take all the hardware on road, so I've kind of gone back to the old way and let's just go hardware only. You know, it works for me. And the more control you have, the better.
Yeah, we use the Eloquencer sequencer with the little setup David's got there, which is the modular, which is usually the bit that I'll be playing because of social distancing and the rules. We can't get together to practice, but yeah, the little modular setups using the Eloquencer by Winter Modular is a fantastic thing. And there's a little story with the Eloquencer as well, isn't there?
That's the big story of Eloquencer.
When they designed the Eloquencer, it's designed in Barcelona, and the people who designed it, unbeknown to us, they were kind of fans of Nitzer Ebb, so they created Eloquencer to be black and orange. One of the designers loves the Showtime cover, so, and they even wanted to even use a typeface on there. So that was really nice. They come to see us in Barcelona because, funny enough, our sequencer broke because the airline broke it. So they come down and gave us a new one and fixed the old one.
Okay. So the sequencer's the thing on the right with all the chords.
Okay, so where am I at now? Back to my normal camera. We need to change camera again. I'm going to point to you again. Let me go back and change camera. So, Eloquencer, can you see my finger going down to the modular rig? So the Eloquencer is, like, for me, one of the best modular sequences I've found so far for how to play live and be spontaneous. Works amazingly. Over here, Pioneer, SB600, 16, whatever they want to call it. Just really good because I can grab my loops and clips and chop them up and move them around and do what I want. Pioneer DJ Effect 1000, the original Pioneer DJ Effects over here. Another little modular rig because I have separate rigs basically for the Nitzer Ebb shows. I have 2 modular rigs depending on who's playing and who's doing what. But all MIDI'd from the Pioneer. The Pioneer quality in sound is amazing. It's like kind of freaks me out how good it is. Through a very I'm going to say shit little 2-channel mixer. You know, you don't need the best equipment to make the best sound. You have to learn what you're using and tune yourself to what's there. You know, so kind of
it's an Allen and Heath mixer. It's not really shit. It's fairly shit. I mean, it's about 80. Pretty good one. But it is it's the cheapest one.
So with all those modular patch cables, do you actually like document, like either take a photo or to capture if there's a specific sound that you want, or you just never get the same sound exactly ever again?
No, I learn. With modular is a crazy thing is you learn all the time. So you patch something, you try it, you go, okay, well, I like that. So you kind of keep the original patch, and then you figure out how you can make the patch bigger or smaller, or to get the most out of it. So what I kind of love with modular or any of this sort of system, the Eurorack system, is that I can have 6 or 7 synthesizers in one very small box. So I can basically take a massive audio range on the road or wherever and do what I want with it. Sometimes it's happy accidents. It's the greatest fun is to just try something and see what happens. But in general, I kind of do know what's going to do what and where it's going to go, what I need to patch. I have certain things I don't patch in. And then if the feeling's right, and I haven't actually used this system with an audience yet, but if the audience is in, then you just patch in some more and make it bigger and better and louder and faster, or whatever way you want to go.
I think for me, that's one of the most, like, the craziest things about modular is that it seems like it's never the same. And I always feel like to try to maintain a consistent, if you want a sound that is always going to sound the exact same way, like you've recorded something, right? And you're going to play it live and the audience expects that particular sound.
Well, I think I got to say is that with this, the whole ethos of Start was that we would have a structured song, that there will always be a basic song that will always be the same, but everything that goes on top will be different every night. I don't want to play you the same thing every night. That's been done for the last 25 years. I find that really tedious, and I don't want to do that. I find it's really difficult to play live and play the same thing every night. When I do the Nitzer Ebb shows, it's like I have a massive effects board in front of me, and some nights I do something completely different to the night before, depending on the PA and the foldback and what we're getting from the monitors. I try something new every night and see how it goes.
That's cool. Yeah, it's just a totally different. Even with Gareth, we had Gareth Jones on recently, the producer, and he's done it. He's released his own album now, and he's using all modular stuff, and he didn't capture. I mean, he recorded it, and that's the one time it's recorded.
That's
He
it's
doesn't
done.
have
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's done. It's a strange one, but I mean, Bon, I'm gonna say Bon is almost like a mentor. I mean, the guy's got talents beyond me and my capability, and we all need somebody that can tell you something more. So you go, you play your music, you listen to somebody, and they'll come in and go, "Well, just try patching that there, or do that, or do that," and you go, "Okay." You learn all the time. It's the beauty of electronic music. It's ever evolving. It doesn't stop. There's no rules to it. There's no boundaries. Do what you want to do.
Very cool.
I've got a Nitzer Ebb based question coming from Mark Jones, who has gone shy now. Hi, Mark.
I've just got a really weird screen up, so I don't even know where anybody is.
I'm never shy at
So
all.
David, you could change in the upper right. You could switch like from speaker view to gallery view or whatever.
Oh, God knows. Hang on. Let's try it there. Let's go gallery view. Ah, so let's get back to what I was looking at. It makes sense. I can see everybody now.
Just a quick question, guys. How? I mean, this is more of a Nitzer Ebb question. So I don't know if Bond's still on the call. Or Simon would help. Yeah. How do you pick your support? I mean, we saw, and I can't pronounce it.
Liebenetz.
Yes, at the was it the Underground gig? I think.
Yeah. So
and he was fantastic. How do you pick them? Where do they come from? Do you know them? How does it work?
Well, Daniel's a friend of our managers, and he's part of, and they help promote him and do his thing, and his music kind of encompasses what we want as a support band, you know. So the beauty, I think, especially 2019, is the support acts are a big deal. So let's get somebody that's gonna do something different and new. I mean, in the States we use Shirchai, and that's a whole different ballgame, completely different support act. But it's about showcasing some fantastic musicians who are doing something different, you know. Electronic music has no boundaries, so take who you need and do the best you can.
I agree, Dave. I think I can't pronounce it, so I won't even try again. But they really pumped it up. So by the time you guys came on, I mean, the crowd were, I mean, a small crowd, but brilliant. It was, I said to Bon a couple of weeks ago when we had the drinking chat, but the crowd was so up for it. I mean, you know, it's like a bit like you guys supporting DM, you know. But if you support DM every tour, then it'll be the best show in the world every day, you know.
Well, I mean, it's a personal thing, isn't it? I mean, everybody likes a different thing. I mean, not everybody likes the same sound. Not everybody wants the same support act, you know. And you're meant to vary your show. They're always going to see the main band. So if Nitzer Ebb are the main band, you're coming to see us. So it'd be really nice to give you something different to start with. I'm saying with DM, you know, it's like they don't want the same band every night, and everybody needs a leg up and an option and a place to be able to play. So they give them that place. And same for us. If we can, we would really want to give everybody, you know, come on tour with us and show them your wares, basically.
Oh, thanks for that. I mean, hopefully when all this finishes and you guys tour it again and DM tour again, maybe we can do the old O2 where you supported DM, or maybe DM can support you. You never know.
I don't think that's an option, to be fair. I don't think we sell enough tickets.
Enjoy your Amstel, mate. Cheers. Thanks.
DM has had some pretty good opening support acts, which it's surprising. I know you were commenting, Mark, in our group. Someone said that they never have good acts opening up for them. And it's mind-boggling because there's been great acts like the PJ Harvey, She Wants Revenge, and of course Nitzer Ebb's been my all-time favorite opening act for Depeche Mode.
And Hard Corpse.
Actually, for Depeche Mode, like you know that Depeche Mode was opening for Fat Gadget, and then years later, Fat Gadget was opening for Depeche Mode. So who knows?
Oh, and it's funny because Depeche Mode used to open for Ultravox, and now I've actually one time at one of Midyear's shows, I was saying, "Oh, I'd love to see you guys play with Depeche Mode." He's like, "Well, if you can make it happen, let me know," because he would like to open up for Depeche Mode. You know, so, along those lines, though, the one good thing when there isn't a support act that you necessarily know. I mean, it's great to get exposure to them, but a lot of times, a lot of us devotees will go to several shows. So you want to check out the support act at least once, but then many of the other times it'll be, all right, let's go pregame and drink and eat at this bar right near the venue or whatever. So
well,
it's unfair to the opening acts, I know, but that's just kind of how it is, you know.
Rob, I always say the same thing. Most people go to see the main act, which I always think is a bit of a shame. And we're back to the old pigeonhole question we said earlier. You know, a show's a show. The whole night's a show. It's not just the main band you're going to see. You're going to see the show. And most main bands put on a support act they want you to see. So it's kind of like, I believe you should go and see them too. You know, you should be there for the whole duration, the whole evening. It's all part of the show. It's the build up, as it was just said. Like Daniel did amazing for us in Europe, warmed the whole place up, ready for us to come on and do it. You know, I mean, it all has a different reason, different purpose.
And ultimately, it ends up where it's better off that, okay, maybe we go start our party a little earlier, and we get there in time for the opening act. But you go off and have lunch and drinks or whatever, and then you get to the show.
I know we've all done it, you know, but to be honest, you know, you should be there for the whole thing.
No, and you're absolutely right. And there's artists that, had I not seen them as the opening act,
the whole show.
All right, I drink to that.
Yeah.
So, Rob, very quickly, can I ask a question? Because did you think, Dave, that's more to do with the big, you know, I mean, I'm talking about the UK. I can't talk about the Dodger Stadium. Never been there, but the whole kind of corporate.
Yes.
Shit. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
For example, Electroworks and London Underground. We were there, bang on time, in there, support acts, boom, 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 can of red stripe, get in there, yeah? Where the O2 and stuff is go and have your meal in Nando's beforehand and then rush, you know.
It's all part of the system, isn't it? I mean, it's a system that has to be worked. Everybody needs to make a living, which I understand, and it comes down to the music itself. You don't need to be in Nando's when the venue's open and the support act's on. That's down to you. That's not down to the corporate. That's you. You made that decision to be eating and not listening to sport band. You know.
Yeah. I'm with you, but it kind of it's kind of pushed towards that where the little venues, you know, it is getting, you know, boom, done.
It's never been any different. It's never been any different. If you go to a small venue, you haven't got the option of Nando's and all the, you know, the outlets. So you're going in, you're going to get a beer, and you're going to watch a band. It's again.
And they're usually not $12 a beer at the little venues either. So that's the
exactly. I mean, one of the beautiful things of getting to be able to play with the guys again, 2019, 2018, was the small venues. The small venues for me were the ones I enjoyed probably the most. It's taken me a year to absorb what happened last year. Once you're in it, it's very difficult to absorb it all and look back and see. I mean, I can go to YouTube, watch 1,000 videos, but they don't mean it's going to make me feel any different. A year off has actually, for me, has helped. This COVID year has been a good one. I can sit back and go, okay, when we get back on the road, I now know where I want to go with it. You know, what I would like to do, how I can enhance it.
Looking forward to seeing you again.
So I have a question from J&G. J&G, did you want to jump in?
What's that?
Julian Gattis.
Oh, okay. I should have known what that was.
Hi guys,
Hey,
Happy New Year. How are you guys doing?
Happy New Year. Very well. Thank you.
Hi Simon and David. So
Hi.
I wanted to ask you, do you have any rock influences? What rock
Toilet
music
break.
do you like?
Toilet break. Simon, you can answer this one.
So, say that again. Any rock influences?
Yes, like any heavy metal bands or hard rock bands or just any rock influences.
Yeah, I mean,
you guys like Metallica or I don't know, like Black Sabbath or
no, well, not
Slayer.
I mean, we're all different. So if you ask anybody within Nitzer, they've all got different opinions on what our influence is. And things that we listen to are. So for me personally, regarding heavy rock, no. But having said that, I came from the tail end of punk, so things like Killing Joke and Wire, early Talking Heads, Ramones. I love that kind of stuff, but it's not really rock as such. But I mean, Ramones are brilliant. I mean, it's like cartoon kind of punk almost, but really enjoyable. But I never really liked kind of heavy metal type stuff. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. I can appreciate it, but I've listened to a few things. I just can't. But you might I mean, like Bomb, for example, and Doug and Dave, they've got different things that they like that are probably on the heavier side, but not really for me. But yeah, definitely when you had people like Killing Joke, where they were mixing dub with like hard guitar music, and like Follow the Leader's kind of like a really tough kind of disco record, really, with a lot of shouting on it. And so some of those early pre-industrial bands, I suppose, were kind of heavy in the sense that their music was a heavy sound, but they weren't heavy in a metal sense of the word when it became, more of a thing with like heavy metal.
Mm-hmm. I still, I don't know if Bon is still around.
Show! Show! Right, carry on. I'm back. You can carry on now. I missed everything, but
David, your rock influences, please.
Rock influences. Would you call them rock? Would you call them rock? So Mark Boland is probably my ultimate glam rock. I think is what they end up pigeonholing it as. The Sweet. One of my favourite tunes ever was Ballroom Blitz by The Sweet. It was punk rock before punk rock. It made so much sense. The angst of this country we grew up in, how people felt. It just summed it all up. And they wore really leery clothes and had really bad hairstyles, but that didn't matter because the song was amazing,
A quick one, James. Yeah, Iggy and the Stooges. I mean, I've got a lot of time.
I personally, back to what I was saying, I've been saying, I really struggle with genreing things and where they sit and how you call it rock or whatever you want to call it. I just call music, and I like what I like, and I dig what I dig, and that's it, really. It's so what I really didn't like was like Van Halen and things like this. I grew up with this awful, and I've got to say, personally, it's just from me, it's no big deal. It was fucking nonsense. I hated it. So what do you call rock?
I've got a question from Foodhead. David and Simon, have you played a smaller venue than the Basement in Chelmsford?
What, the two of us? Just, yeah, as the two of us, yeah, sure we have.
Yeah, that was me, you and Bon. But he's saying, have we played any smaller venues? Played small.
Yeah, Greyer's one was our first gig in France at Lowe's place.
Yeah.
With that little bar in Calais. It was amazing. Just the whole place didn't know how to deal with it, and we didn't know what we were fucking doing, and we were just winging it and going for it and seeing what happened, and they loved every second.
We've got another question from Yuri. Hi, Yuri.
Yeah, Simon, just going back to that heavy metal stuff you were mentioning.
Yeah.
What I was thinking is what the music, like electro body music, lends itself to heavy metal. If I look at the groups, who did like shifted to using guitars or joining in a heavy metal band, making music. Also Rammstein with that electronic background.
Then for me, I'm going to jump inside. Sorry, but for me, back to pigeonholing. It's pigeonholing again. It's like because people call it industrial, then all these bands get aligned. It doesn't mean that all the bands involved in that alignment agree with being aligned.
No, I agree.
It's the genreization of things is not necessarily a good good thing. You know, you tie things that don't necessarily, or the people in them want to be there.
I think
Well, it's the same with Depeche Mode songs. We get a lot of rock bands, heavy metal bands that do covers of Depeche songs. So that's for me, that's great. I like that, you know.
The thing is with the Mode are a stadium band. They were pretty much from the word go. I mean, they took off very quickly to a certain degree, and they do stadium shows. So it adds to that sound to do that, you know. So it works that way.
Uh-huh.
I think to your point, Jury. I mean, Depeche Mode write kind of classic songs which can be quite easily interpreted by a heavy metal band or a different type of genre of music because it's a classic song structure and it kind of works. And going back further, when you mentioned about Rammstein and Die Krupps, and I think the intensity of that music can be seen as heavy, in not necessarily in a metal sense. You could sense where they were going. It's almost inevitable that Die Krupps would have become heavy metal in a way, or Rammstein take the electronic influences because the intensity of the music's like heavy metal.
Do you know what? Do you know what I think, Si, to be honest, and I've thought this the last 20 years probably with the Mode, is that they write and do and use and play electronic music, but it's crossed the boundaries. So the rock bands then want to play electronic music in a rock fashion. So hasn't that just turned the whole circle?
Yeah. I mean, we played with Killing Joke recently, and I think their last album's produced by the Nirvana Nirvana drummer. I've forgotten his name now. But they were like a heavy metal band, really.
Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl, yeah. I mean, it was still good, but when you hear the early kind of classics, they really are classic. When you hear the later ones, they're like genre sounding.
The original Killing Joke again was a massive influence. I think when me and Bond started to write Belief, one of the big influences for me was Killing Joke. I was listening to Killing Joke sound and thinking, I want a little bit of that involved in Nitzer Ebb now. And me and Bond sat in his bedroom writing that album for several months. I left obviously before the album was released and wasn't part of the final product. But at the time when we initially started to write Belief, for me, Killing Joke was a massive influence. So yeah, maybe there's a rock feeling in there somewhere.
I've got a question from Tom Obarski from Las Vegas, wondering what music you guys might be listening to currently in the electronic field, whether it's a big or a small act.
I'll let you go that, Si.
Well, I like a lot of music that isn't really that loud or electronic particularly, but I mean, Max Richter I really like. And there's another person from Berlin called Hauschka, who's like a contemporary piano player almost. He mixes it up with electronic sort of instruments. And from like Deep Chord, I don't know if you know Deep Chord. They're on Echo Space Detroit. They're Detroit-based kind of dub, kind of techno.
Do you know what, Si? I don't listen to jack shit. And that sounds crazy, but I don't listen to very much music. I go back to the stuff I grew up with. I go back to the funk, soul, disco. I go back to the glam rock when I want to listen to something. Electronically, I don't really listen to that much. I couldn't put one artist because there's so many. There's so many things that I will suddenly decide I want to hear, and I'll put them up, and I wouldn't give any of them credit above the next because they're all worthy.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you look at, another favourite of mine is Underground Resistance, and if you look at Underground Resistance, you can hear anything from kind of acid tracks to actually live funk. So they're just a collective with kind of good taste. So I'm like David. I'll listen to stuff across a whole range of genres, but I think for me, my favourite is probably.
I think the last thing I was listening to was David Byrne doing American Utopia.
Oh, that was great.
I sat and watched the show. The show is incredible. The sound's incredible. I mean, call it show. Yeah, I like that word.
Simon, you're really on it.
Well,
that was a
it'll
good
come out.
change there, Simon. Good call.
Good
call. We're getting so drunk now.
You might be. I'm not even started.
That's because I drink Belgian beer.
Oh God,
It's a
no!
whole different level.
Yeah, run away from Belgian beer. It makes you very, very hungover.
It's the best.
I've got a question from Mark Jones. Very simply asked, vinyl or CD?
I can say it, vinyl or CD.
Thank you.
I'm going to go with vinyl, but I'm going to have to turn it around and back to Simon, because if you see his CD player, and I'm not going to tell you what it cost, but when you hear the quality of it, there's not much in it. As Stark, one of my challenges when I write songs, Simon turns the bass out of his system at home so he doesn't offend the neighbours. So I write songs to try and get the bass through his system. And he uses a very, very beautiful Swiss handmade CD player. So if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I think it depends. It just depends on the medium, really, on how well the original's been engineered or mastered. So if you get a really well mastered CD, it will sound as good on a decent system as good as the vinyl.
It's not necessarily what you're playing; it's what you're playing it through. I mean, a good set of speakers, a good preamp. I mean, all the rules are clear, but at the same time, frequency is personal. Everybody hears something in a different range. It's not one sound for all. You all hear something completely different.
Okay, so on that, sorry, Simon and Dave, very quickly, when you first early Nitzer Ebb days, did you produce for vinyl or did you produce for? Those CDs were starting to come out.
No. Originally it was only vinyl. CD hadn't actually happened when we first did Power of Voice Communications. The CD option wasn't there, so everything went to vinyl. So you had to be very meticulous about how you recorded.
And we all had it was vinyl or cassette.
Yeah, cassette. Yeah, forget about cassettes.
So when they're remastered for CD, is that a major issue for you guys, or just it is what it is? I mean,
not really, because if you go back even 30 years, probably prior to that, 90% of studios are using like a Sony 1-inch digital master. So you get all these kind of purists, kind of snobs saying, "Oh, I only buy vinyl releases," and they don't realise that vinyl release has been mastered from a Sony 1-inch digital. And if something like Deutsche Grammophon, like a huge label, like that, all their stuff's mastered from 1-inch digital, and you go back to that original studio quality, you're not really going to hear a massive difference. The way that mastering is then kind of downsampled to create the different formats. So you might from the 1-inch digital master, you're going to get it being sampled down for a CD. The bad thing about CDs, which everybody probably knows, is that the dynamic range is artificially popped up.
That's what I was gonna say. The compression kicks in.
Yeah,
I mean, the minute you do something digital, it gets compressed to a certain degree. I'm a absolute avid hate compression. I mean, all these modern guys, techno DJs, whatever you want to call them, or however they want to make music, they're all on this compressing stuff. Compression is a word. Listen to what I just said. Compression. You're squashing a sound. There's a use for it, but if you can make something without, then it'll be better.
I mean, the classic example is years ago when records were cut for the radio. You get a 7-inch single, and it was called a radio mix. And basically, the radio mix has a artificially enhanced dynamic range, so it sounds louder on the radio. So as soon as the DJ played it, it would sound really loud. And that kind of ethos, if you like, sort of seeped into the world of CD, and it became like a battle. So now you get a CD and it's in the red. If you've got VU meters, or you put it on a mastering suite or anything, or just play it back on something that's showing the levels, you'll notice that the CD is on +3 or something, or +5. So that means too loud.
When we record here, I have this real option with Stark Sound. Is like I literally record in stereo to one track, because this is why we love doing it live. It's what you hear is what you get. It's let's go right back to Nitzer Ebb. We had a stereo recording. What you hear is what you get. You've got to do it You know, you might do 25 takes. One of them's going to be perfect in the end, or as perfect as you want it. And that's all it's needed. And then you've got a good audio sound. You've got a real sound. I mean, you can go analog, digital, whatever you want to say, but it's a real sound.
So
Simon, you brought up an interesting point. I had no idea that radio mixes on vinyl were compressed and brought up like volume wise. I thought it was always just they shortened the song to make sure it was like a 3-minute version of it, as opposed to you know. But I know that the CDs, and you could tell even like if you buy an 80s version of a Depeche Mode album on CD versus now, you'll hear the compression now. They brought up all the levels and
it'll sound artificially loud now, which is a
Right.
real shame. The original producer, I'm sure Gareth Jones probably mentioned it, all the time and effort they put into making that release when it came out was right for that time, and the levels were perfect. Now
I have this beautiful thing of having this guy, Mr. Granger, as my partner in crime when we do Stark, as in when we're writing something or trying to record it, he will hear it in a certain way and say to me, that's not going to come across. That's not going to work. So we're probably still living in the 80s, probably earlier. We're living in a place where music was meant to be a stereo recording. And I like the ethos of doing that.
I mean, one of the things we even thought about back in the early days was if you listen to the way certain records are produced, if you went to for example, one of the thoughts we had, which we never really followed up on, but it's a really nice idea. The people that really knew about mastering and how to make a record sound good were the people that were doing the dub. Sort of in the early 80s, people that were sort of mastering 10-inch records know about bottom end and mastering and how to make something sound really good. I mean, Killing Joke, the producers, I mean, Youth, obviously, Killing Joke was massively influenced by dub, and the people he was working with, in order them to get that kind of bottom end sound, and like Public Image and people like that, they were actually taking the studio, what's the word, kind of the studio mastery of dub and applying it to their sound. So they were the opposite of compression. So when
it's giving it the frequency range, wasn't it? It's allowing a frequency range. You know, somebody said earlier about Nitzer Ebb bass line sounding amazing, and that was a big part of being in the studio, of like getting the sound that we heard in the speakers out on a record. So you've got to work out how you're going to work that frequency range to make it work right and mix it in the right order.
I've got a question from Matt Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Matt.
Hi. Right, Dave. Yeah, quite agree with the compression, because whenever I watch the news in this country anyway, you might know what I'm going to say. I have to turn it up because the adverts are so much more louder.
Well,
So
subliminal messaging.
Yeah. So when you're making a cup of tea, yeah, you can hear the adverts. My question was about sampling, and in the day and maybe now, what's your favourite, Akai or Emu? I mean, Emu's maybe more grittier, but
wow, in this room, I still have the original Nitzer Ebb Akai. I'm not even sure if it works, but I can't get rid of it. But nowadays, equipment-wise, sample with what you want. How do you want it to sound? It's not, you know, if you want to go in the box, out the box, dude, just sample. There's no rules to this. There's never been any rules to electronic music or how you use it, what you do with it. Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Make it sound how you want it to sound.
I used to have a Emu ESI 32, and I had a friend who had an Akai, I think it was an S9000, and his was obviously easier to truncate and stuff because he had the screen, whereas I had to do it by ear, and I always liked the Emu sound better just because it gave you more.
Well, yeah, you're back to the analog and digital and whatever you want to call it, but then any sampler is digital, so you run that risk, you know.
I think, I mean, Bond's probably got more of an input on the sampling side.
Go on, unmute yourself, you shorty.
Yeah, sampling, I think for us initially it was the fact that Akais were more available and more affordable. Emus are always a little bit more expensive, so I could never afford them. I mean, in later years I've been able to collect a few things, and I think the emus actually do sound a lot better, especially the later ones, the E4 XT and all that. But as Dave says, you know, it's kind of like horses for courses. Some people like the certain characteristics of the Akai, but overall, you know, in review, I would probably have gone for emus back then, but just couldn't afford them. So Akai it was.
See, I find it funny because like Bon will say that, and it's like, I mean, when I got back into music like 10 years ago, and then you find Reason, and Reason freaked me out as a project or just as a program, just I couldn't believe that it was that easy that I could have a computer and do this. And obviously we're back to hardware now, as I've done, because in the box gets you down. But sampling wise, I'll use anything. I'll use the PC in front of me that I'm talking to you guys on and run it through the worst program because that's where I'm at the time. So, oh God, I need to record that. That's amazing. I need to sample that now. And it doesn't matter. There's no system. Use what you want to use and then do what you want to do with it. You know, sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Bon.
Gatis and Julia have another question.
Okay, guys, this is for Simon. I've got a question related to the topic we discussed before. David mentioned that Simon has a nice CD player, very expensive one.
Yes.
I've been collecting CDs for over 20 years, and my question is, what CD player could you recommend would have the highest audio quality?
Do it. Tell him.
Yeah, your opinion on SACDs and versus DVD audio. So, and also, yeah, I'd like to buy a good one. Yeah.
Well,
for my collection.
I've never got into SACD or DVD audio because most of the CDs that I bought and liked were produced mainly on small labels that never could afford to create an SACD version or DVD audio version of their music. So I used to buy a lot of stuff back in the day on Small Fish. There was a record shop, first of all, in London called Small Fish, and they went online and they were just like underground electronic kind of stuff with, I don't know, 500 CDs at a time or whatever. So they were never in SACD or DVD audio. And I'd say regarding CD players, the standard now of CD players is really, really high. The last 10, 15 years, digital to analog converters and the systems that they're now using are so much more stable and reliable and everything. So do you know of Riga? Have you heard of Regal Electronics?
Rico? Yeah.
Riga.
They're actually made in Southend in UK.
Can you write in chat box, please? So
they're made down the road from us. They're made in a very local town, city from us.
But you wouldn't go wrong if you bought a Riga Planet or just look at Riga, REGA. Very, very good quality CD players. I mean, not massively expensive. I mean, mine's a Nagra, N-A-G-R-A, which it's an expensive system, but I wanted a Nagra for a long time. They were the people that made the original spy recorders, like the little miniature cassette recorders for spies.
For me, if you want something to sound good, find yourself some good speakers. It's the speakers that you need. It's how do you want to hear it? Maybe a preamp is sometimes a good thing, but the speakers, how do you want to hear it? Everybody, as I said earlier, everybody's frequency range is different. So if you want to hear something, what's good for you? Try speakers. Go to the hi-fi store and plug your favorite piece of music in through several sets of speakers until you go, wow, that's the one. And you will know when it's the one.
So Simon did that.
I've seen people having a CD worth of $10,000 or 10,000 euros. And I think that's crazy. I think something that's less than 10,000.
Yeah, I mean, Riga around, I think Riga Planet starts at around £1,500 or something. You could get a good Riga player for around between
Can it
1,000.
compete with vinyl record players?
You need to compare the two. I mean, I'd say Riga make really good vinyl.
You're back to the thing that we were saying a second ago. Is like you have to decide yourself. There is no rules to this. Frequency is everybody's individual taste. You know, you hear Simon has got a speaker system in his apartment. It's just incredible. You can walk anywhere in the room and it sounds the same. And the guy who came and set it up from France, you know, wanted it to sound that way. So they spent 2 days putting these speakers in to make it sound that good. And I spent hours challenging his system, trying to write music that will come through that shouldn't. You know, it's down to you. It's up to you.
I think just try and find a local hi-fi dealer or someone and see if you can go in and maybe borrow some equipment. Or, what a lot of dealers are doing now is, because everything's kind of online, is they'll loan you something to listen to for like 30 days and then send it back again. I don't know, where are you based, Jane G? What country are you in?
Latvia.
Oh, Latvia. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not sure what you'd have around there.
Yeah, we've got some hi-fi audio dealers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it. Take your favorite CD, the thing you love the most, the thing you know every frequency in, the thing you've heard so many times. Take it into that local hi-fi store and go, dude, play me the speakers, play me the preamps, play me this, play me that. What can I play through? Just keep plugging them in until you'll know when you hear it.
Yeah, probably not yet though.
All right, thanks.
Until it's safe.